So Zachary Allen, to be followed by Nicole Clark.
Hello, my name is Zachary Allen, and I am a student at SUNY Cortland. I am currently pursuing a degree in conservation biology. So the issues presented in this draft energy plan strike me as incredibly important to address. And I would like to thank you for this opportunity to speak as a concerned resident of New York State. I would like to discuss climate change and how New York State is addressing this issue. In the draft state energy plan, the state is not adequately meeting our need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2050. The plan focuses on reducing CO2 emissions, but fails to account for other greenhouse gases which are more potent, such as methane. To combat this issue, the final energy budget must include a 14% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 2018 from 2011 levels and a 20% reduction by 2021. In order to meet our 80% by 2050 reduction in emissions, we need to move away from fossil fuels like natural gas that release large amounts of greenhouse gases like methane through burning it and drilling for it through hydrofracking. We also need to transition our energy system to a clean, renewable energy system and support energy efficiency. I grew up in the Adirondacks, and I would love to see the healthy and clean New York State I saw as a child. Stay clean. And the only way that can happen is through support of renewable energy resources and reducing emissions, as well as improving energy efficiency. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you very much. Nicole Clark, to be followed by Diane Swords. And I apologize if I'm misreading or mispronouncing.
Hi, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Nicole Clark, and I live in East Islip on Long Island. I'm currently a student at SUNY Cortland. The reason I am talking to you today is to express my concern for the future of Central New York, which is my local environment. Everyone here today can agree that we need to reshape the future of energy in New York. Coincidentally, that's the title of our draft state energy plan. However, the goals of reaching a cleaner environment and improving energy affordability is not realized in this plan. The plan proposes a massive increase in natural gas in use in New York over the next 20 years, with significant build-out of natural gas infrastructure and hydrofracking. It is implying that we would have to rely on fracked gas to meet this energy goal, but this will not result in a cleaner environment. Obviously, fracking is a dangerous, polluting process, and the impacts of fracking on water and air quality are ignored completely. These impacts have not been acknowledged and accounted for. We would be taking one step forward and about 20 steps back if we allow fracking in the state of New York. If the main goal is to protect the environment, fracking is not the answer. I take this issue personally because my residence for 4 years will be Central New York. I've made personal connections within this community, and I care deeply about their future. Hopefully, listening to us here today will help make this plan make New York wean off of natural gas and not increase our reliance on it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Diane Swords? Sorry. Jessica Jonas? To be followed by Maria Sherwood.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Jessica Jonas. I'm a recent graduate of SUNY Purchase, and I currently live in Cortland, New York. I want to thank you for the time and the opportunity to speak before you today. I would like to talk to you about the New York State Draft Energy Plan's proposal to increase the consumption of natural gas in order to meet New York's energy needs. Not only do I feel this is the wrong direction New York needs to take to reach a more sustainable energy future, but this proposal also falls short on the promises New York has already made to combat global warming. I have lived in upstate New York for my entire life, which means for me and most everyone in this room, hydrofracking is not a new word. My family owns a 114-acre farm that sits squarely on Marcellus Shale, and we have been offered to lease our land as well as all of our neighboring farmers. The monetary promises offered to us have not been lost on our ears either. My mother was diagnosed with cancer 5 years ago. At that time, she's the sole breadwinner in the house, and she passed away less than a year later. My stepfather, who does not have the college degree that is almost necessary today, was fortunate enough to find work, and we've been able to keep our property. Our story is not so different from many stories that are exemplified by the gas industry, but my family chose not to frack. The more New York State holds off on hydrofracking, the more science reveals the deep and lasting environmental effects of this process. We can just look to our neighbors to the south to see numerous mishandlings of wastewater, contamination to well water, the degradation of air quality, and the degradation of road infrastructure. The New York State Draft Energy Plan completely ignores the pollution to our water and impacts on air quality and does not acknowledge an adequate system for these repercussions. These repercussions affect our health and ultimately undermine whatever initial economic impact advantage that is produced. We need to focus on long-term solutions that actually can solve our energy problems. What is more concerning for me is that New York State has a commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by the year 2050. This is a commitment to combat global warming and develop our state towards a cleaner energy future. The goal simply could not be met with hydrofracking and building infrastructure dependence on natural gas in New York State. Hydrofracking releases significant methane emissions, as many people have said today, all along the development process, and as you know, methane is a more potent greenhouse gas than even CO2. I'm calling for revisions in the New York Energy Plan that will focus our promise on 80% by 2050. To do this, our 50% by 2030 goal should include all greenhouse gas emissions, not just CO2. I would also like to see midterm targets of 14% by 2018 and 20% by 2021 that will help ensure our goal. Ultimately, I want to see the expansion of renewable technologies, such as solar and wind power, and not natural gas. I want to see a beautiful New York and focusing on renewable energies that will set us on the path to get us there. Again, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Maria Sherwood.
She left.
Casey Marlowe. To be followed by Evan Greenberg.
Hello, good afternoon, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. Before I say anything, I just want to note that we've heard a lot of stuff bad about fracking, and just to bring in some balance, I want to say something good about fracking. I mean, the ability to make tap water flammable is a magnificent scientific achievement and is very useful in entertaining small children. Other than that, there are really no benefits to hydrofracking, and it's absurd that we have not banned it yet. We only have to look to Pennsylvania to see the benefits of hydrofracking. I could pull up my cell phone, go on YouTube right now, and find at least a dozen videos of pipe leaks, pipe explosions, and hydrofracking incidents. And I could find 900 different articles on those subjects. I could find 900 different articles on another form of dirty energy that this bill would allow to continue, which is nuclear energy. The word Fukushima has only been mentioned twice in this hearing. I find that absurd. I mean, Fukushima is a disaster that can happen here because according to a report that I read some time ago, the nuclear power plants in the United States are built by the exact same design as nuclear power plants in Japan. That means what happened in Fukushima could happen here. That scares me considering I think we have 3 nuclear plants in New York, and some of which are in Long Island where I live, and that scares me. I think we need to be transitioning to a green economy, especially in New York. The only sector, one of the few sectors that actually did better in the recession, in the Great Recession, was the green energy sector. So I think we need to just keep on reinvesting in green energy, and we need to just ban hydrofracking because it's clear that the dangers are real and the science is on our side. So I just want you to ban hydrofracking, and then we'll come back and we'll have another discussion about this. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Evan Greenberg, to be followed by Mona Parati.
Hi, my name is Evan Greenberg, and I'm currently a student at Binghamton University. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak today. I may not wake up every morning, put on a suit. I may not shave my face and comb my hair on a regular basis. I may not have my speech printed or any public speaking experience whatsoever. I may not have a long family legacy in politics, and I may not have a huge political campaign funded by big business. But I'm still an American citizen living in the state of New York, so I deserve to have my voice heard. I deserve to have my drinking water clean. I deserve to have access to view the greenhouse gas emissions inventory, and I deserve to have clean energy options available to me. Expanding the use of natural gas in this state is not the solution to the environmental and economic problems we are facing. Fracking will pollute our land and water, make consumers dependent on fluctuating prices. It will diminish our property value, exacerbate climate change, and hinder any further growth of the green energy we need. We need to invest in green, clean, and renewable energy, such as wind, solar, and hydroelectric power. This will not only create jobs, but it will also reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. We need to set goals and plan a means of reaching them. Instead of increasing natural gas production, we need to increase renewable energy production. Our future should be full of clean air, water, and land. Our lives and our children's lives should see progress towards sustainability, not towards larger reliance on polluting fossil fuels. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak here today, and thank you for taking my opinion and the opinions of all these educated people into consideration when this energy plan is drafted and revised.
Thank you very much. Mona Parati, followed by Sandy Schofield.
Hello, thank you. I'm glad to be here today, and I thank you for this opportunity to come and comment on the energy plan draft. I'm from Clinton in the Utica area, and I would like to say that you had included other hearing dates in other areas of the state, certainly the Binghamton area, and that you had considered better parking arrangements. To the plan, I question the plan's reliance on, and indeed what seems to be a vigorous push for a greater dependence on the use of natural gas in the years ahead. This document does not address the very real dangers and impacts of fracked gas production, transportation, and usage. The plan does mention, in a general way, a concern for health and environmental issues, but does not specifically address the concerns. The release of the hugely powerful greenhouse gas methane is barely noted, and it is unaddressed in the plan. I ask how you can present an energy plan that purports to take us safely into the future without firmly acknowledging these realities and using this knowledge to shape a true plan. I question this draft as a serious plan because it embraces a greater use of a climate-changing fossil fuel and ignores the opportunity to create an aggressive and effective blueprint based on conservation and renewable energy resources. I ask that you redraft this plan, which does not contain clear goals, firm mandates, and benchmarks with tight timeframes. I ask that you reconsider your pessimistic forecasts for the percentages of energy production to come from true renewable resources. These figures stand in strict contrast to renewable energy production already achieved by other nations. In fact, within the past few weeks, it was revealed that wind power had become the largest energy production sector in Spain. In 2013, Professor Mark Jacobson and others released a detailed report that laid out a specific plan for New York State to achieve a fully renewable energy future or reality by 2030. I did not see that valuable report referenced any place in your plan, and I ask why not. I would like you to know how difficult it was to repeatedly see references within the plan to clean energy. which was not clearly defined, but which clearly indicated to me natural gas was included. Each of us here, including all of you, I believe, on stage, knows that the term clean energy cannot be applied to the fossil fuel natural gas. In my eyes, this misapplication of the word clean compromises the draft document. I also was struck by the repeated use of the word consumers. I believe that this plan, while it should, of course, recognize the affordable energy needs of its residents, should speak to us as citizens of New York who are looking for an outline path toward a safer energy future for us all. Please reconsider this plan. There is no more important responsibility than getting our energy future right, and I ask that you do just that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sandy Schofield, to be followed by Jessica Azoulay.
Hi, I'm Sandy Schofield from Clinton, New York, and I appreciate you planning a sunny day for us to be able to get here to your hearing. Thank you very much. It seems that this energy plan puts major reliance on natural gas. Not a good plan. Gas is a depletable, finite resource. I've heard that fracked wells are productive for only 6 to 20 years max. What do we do when the gas runs out? What is New York State energy plan then? Resource depletion should be addressed in any energy plan that is drawn up. And actually, I don't see why we can't leave the gas in the ground for future generations when fossil fuels will be extremely scarce. What I'd like to know, actually, from an energy plan is how to retrofit my home for new sources of energy. I rely on gas, darn it all, and I sure would like to have a way to figure out how to retrofit my home. I'd also like to know guidelines and incentives to help communities provide their own decentralized energy that Al Gore talked about so long ago. Decentralizing energy is the safest, as far as security goes, the safest way to go, and probably a much more efficient way for us to produce energy. I'd like to know what incentives will be provided for developing renewables, and what are these? Maybe there's renewables that we haven't even talked about yet. Nobody's mentioned hydrogen. The energy plan could provide models of innovative projects that are currently happening in our country. For instance, just the other day, the Oneida County Sheriff, Rob Maciel, announced that our county prison will be the first in the state to be completely fueled by solar energy on an 8-acre site. These examples should be part of an energy plan for other communities, and I'm sure there's many other examples. So the new energy plan should focus on helping New York State transition from fossil fuels to renewables. And I ask you to come back with a forward-looking, innovative, inspirational plan, making renewables our major source of energy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Jessica Azoulay, followed by Isaac Silberman.
I got it.
Sorry.
No worries.
So, hi, I'm Jessica Azoulay. I'm Program Director for Alliance for a Green Economy, and we're a coalition of grassroots organizations working together on environmental and energy issues in New York. Like so many here, Alliance for a Green Economy objects to the plan's promotion of natural gas. A lot of people have talked about this, the conversion of oil to natural gas in home heating, the construction of new natural gas pipelines. This is the wrong direction. And we also urge you to, in fact, we demand real targets in this plan for how we're going to meet the goals that have already been set by the state for renewable energy and energy efficiency by 2015. You note in the plan that we're really struggling with those goals as a state, but we don't see a real clear plan in this document for how we're going to reach those goals next year. And we also don't see clear goals for 2020 and 2025 for renewable energy and energy efficiency. So we really need these to be part of the energy plan. Since so many people are talking about natural gas today, I'm actually going to focus my remarks on the role of nuclear in the plan. Alliance for a Green Economy is one of the main watchdog organizations for the nuclear reactors here in central New York. So New York has 6 nuclear reactors, all of which are scheduled to retire by 2050. But the draft energy plan inexplicably ignores this retirement schedule. It's not mentioned in the plan. 2 of these reactors, 9 Mile Point 1 and Ginna here in central New York, are 2 of the oldest nuclear reactors in the US, and they're scheduled to retire in 2029. Yet the plan projects nuclear generation levels for 2030 above what they are today. There's no rational basis for this. The retirement schedule for the state's nuclear reactors must be accounted for in the final energy plan, and we should see that 2030 number go down based on these retirements that are scheduled. We believe that nuclear closures will likely come sooner rather than later for many of the reactors here in New York. The nuclear industry in the U.S. is seeing record plant closures due to a combination of rising maintenance costs and inability to compete with low-cost alternatives, including wind and solar. Various economists have put many of New York's reactors on the short list of most likely to retire early. Specifically, Fitzpatrick and Oswego, owned by Entergy, is already losing money, according to analysts. Entergy is cutting the workforce and failing to fix critical equipment, like their expensive condenser, which has caused numerous unplanned power changes in the last year. We know it is up for replacement, and they have not committed to replacing it because it costs so much. Unless Entergy can wrangle some kind of subsidy from the state, Fitzpatrick might shut down due to financial losses in the not-too-distant future in the next couple of years. Ginna in Wayne County will see its above-market contract end this summer. It is also thought to start losing money at that point and may close early due to financial distress. But we don't see a discussion of this in the energy plan. It's important to remember that all of New York's nuclear reactors threaten public health and safety, especially as they age and as the companies resist spending money to maintain them. Every day these reactors operate, we are at risk of an accident. Meanwhile, all of these reactors are creating nuclear waste that will remain radioactive and extremely dangerous for tens of thousands of years. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has no plan for how it's going to move this waste to a permanent repository, and so it remains in local communities in storage containers that are not designed for long-term storage. Other than Indian Point, which the state is working to close by preventing relicensing, there's no mention of the possible early nuclear closures and no consideration in the plan for how nuclear power will be replaced. The energy plan should include contingency plans for all nuclear reactors, replacement plans, and these should include strategies for replacing nuclear with renewable energy and efficiency measures, and policies that will facilitate a just transition for nuclear workers and reactor communities. I just want to use the remainder of my time now to deliver a letter. It's signed by 36 organizations demanding that the Energy Planning Board release to the public 2 documents that are footnoted in this plan, but which we haven't seen. They're the forthcoming greenhouse gas inventory and the study on efficiency and renewable potential in New York. These are critical documents for energy planning. We want to see what this study says about what the potential is for energy efficiency and renewables in New York. And the way it's discussed in the plan leads me to believe that it's flawed, and I'd like to see it so that I can comment on it as part of the public comment process. So I hope that you will release these plans even in the draft form that they're used to inform the energy plans, and to extend the public comment period to give us adequate time to analyze the studies that have informed this energy plan and allow us to comment on them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, she's more important. Oh, thank you. Got it. Thank you.
Isaac, I won't even make you guess on it. Isaac Silberman Gorn, S-I-L-B like boy, E-R-M-A-N hyphen G-O-R-N. I'm an organizer with Citizen Action of New York, based out of Binghamton. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak today. At the same time, I do want to acknowledge some disappointment with accessibility today. Parking was a bit of a bear. Like I said, I came up from Binghamton and traveled with this fine, beautiful human being to my left who, while is quite mobile, we had quite a walk to get here. So one point that I actually want to disagree with nearly everyone who has spoken today is usage of the word natural gas. This is fracked gas. That's what it needs to be referred to in this document and in all of our language as well. I live 8 miles above the border of Pennsylvania. Along that border, there's fracking going on as close to the border as the law will allow. These people getting sick, this contamination of air and water is not some strange, abstract thing to me or my community, nor are the effects of climate change. We've suffered from 2 multi-hundred-year floods, 6 years. 2006, 2011. So we're a frontline community for potentially fracking and also for climate change. So it's not okay to balance an energy plan on the backs of rural Pennsylvania and potentially rural New York. You can clap if you want to. Thank you. Fracked gas is a derailment fuel. It's not a bridge fuel. Natural gas and bridge fuel are both terms that were created by people who are much better paid than myself and my colleagues in industry PR boardrooms to try to intentionally mislead the public. An investment in fracking infrastructure, an investment in compressor stations, pipelines, etc., is a 50 to 80-year commitment in fracked gas as a fuel. In Pennsylvania, there are almost 9,000 active wells. There are over 50,000 planned. This is a fifth of the way through. In New York, there are 50 to 100,000 fracked well pads planned. That's absolutely unacceptable. This plan it's very vague. I would say, I think everyone here agrees that it implicitly calls for more fracking. Right now, there are 15 million Americans in 11 states who live within 1 mile of a fracking well. Within 1 mile. What's happening is you're seeing industry's arrogance coming out. You're seeing the cover-ups that they're pulling being blown through, and we live with this as a very stark reality. Now, meanwhile, you gentlemen and lady that I'm addressing right now, you have the opportunity to lead us. You really do. This is about my future. I'm young. I got into organizing completely by accident, pretty young, but this is my future. Do I want to have, I honestly don't know as a 24-year-old whether I could honestly bring a kid into this world. And I call on all of you to lead us. You have the information's out there. There are people who can, there's going to be incredible amounts of technical information that's readily available. There is a renewable energy that's possible, and we need it, and we demand it, and we need it in the southern tier. The southern tier can be a hotbed for it. And that's really what we need. So I appreciate the chance to comment. I encourage all of you to come into our drilling sites in Pennsylvania. Come home with nosebleeds. Come home with a headache. Come home having to take a nap for 4 hours because you inhaled who the hell knows what they're putting in the air from a compressor station. These are stark realities that we live with in the southern tier, along with our community being mapped out for pipelines. The grid work is already laid out. The EPA requires, in order for fracking to occur, you need to have a pipeline within a mile. That's the green completion. And these pipelines, meanwhile, are leaking and making people sick, and we're not okay with that. And we really demand that you take us to the renewable future that we need. I really appreciate the opportunity to comment. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I didn't call the following speaker. Colleen Keto. followed by Jeff Wright. And I hope I got the surname right.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. Thank you. Thanks for the chance to speak. Had to step out for a minute, but came back. And I just wanted to say that thank you again for having this panel. I felt a little bit like the parking to get here was a little bit like of a metaphor for, the larger, hearing people's voices in the larger scheme of things at the state level, because it was hard to park. And you had to pay for the parking, and it's far away. And some parking was illegal, actually, which is something that, if the hydrofracking does go through, which I sincerely hope it doesn't, it will not, but I'm totally willing to lay my life on the line to stop it as much as I can. We need an energy plan that aligns with the innovative and forward-thinking local and organic foods movements and tourism industries, one which supports the rich agricultural heritage of our region. Dirty industrial energy extraction, such as hydrofracking, which is implicit in the energy plan being laid out, threatens local economies. We need a genuine and honest energy plan solely committed to the clean power of solar, wind, and water. One that is beholden to the people, the flora and fauna, land, air, and water of New York State. We need an energy plan where we are leaders, not followers, beholden to corporate gas and oil industries that have little to no connection to our communities. The target percentage of renewable energy in this plan should be 100% as soon as possible. In snowy gray Truxton, just southeast of here, it's a small town, I have solar and wind power on our little place on a land trust, and I know what it takes, how much energy it takes to turn on a light bulb, and we practice very strong conservation. There's a nearby organic dairy farm who transformed their 100-plus cow farm to use exclusively solar energy. An energy plan should take into account the real production costs of energy, the costs to communities and landscape and quality of life, to roads, infrastructure, home values, and health. One where grain elevators are used for food, not to house sand for hydrofracking, as happens to our farms now. So I think the aggressive environmental goals of the plan are precisely that, an act of aggression against the environment. I really want to see more renewables in the energy plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jeff Wright, followed by, David Fisher.
Hello, I'm Jeff Wright. I live here in Syracuse, in West Vale, a suburb. I'd like to be able to thank this panel for being open to our comments, and I do. However, it couldn't have been made more difficult to get here if it had been planned that way. Not to be directly confrontational to the whole panel, but at least one of you here okayed this location while being aware of the unusual complications it would pose to those wishing to attend. The sign, it's our obligation. Climate action, it's our obligation. I'm here because I have a daughter who will be 64 in 2050. She's given us 3 beautiful grandchildren, Nate, Kaya, little Marley. They will be 44, 40, and 38 respectively in 2050. They and millions of other children like them drive me to obligation as a father, grandfather, and simply as a responsible adult to be here. But my obligation to show up at a rally and to comment here carries very little impact as compared to your obligation as persons who actually influence policy to effectively protect the futures of our future generations. Now, at the intentional risk of sounding a little confrontational, I'd like to make an observation of what seems to me to be the obvious. This plan couldn't have been more favorable to the gas and oil industry as a whole if it had been written by agents of the gas and oil industry itself. It's my belief that the authors of New York State Energy Plan, acting as agents of humanity as a whole, can do much, much better than this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.